When we think of ignorance, we usually think of it as something negative. It's good to be knowledgeable and bad to be ignorant. Calling someone ignorant is usually meant in a demeaning or insulting way. But when you stop and think about it, ignorance just means lack of knowledge. When we're born, we're pretty much ignorant about everything, and nobody thinks that's bad. As we grow up and learn more about the world, our knowledge grows and our ignorance shrinks. At some point, we realize we know more about some things than some of the people around us. This is the point where we have some interesting personal decisions to make that deal with how we make sense of what we know and what we don't. If you think of everything knowable as like a globe of the world, the part of the world of mapped human knowledge is actually very tiny. Good science answers one question and asks 10 more. It's like the more we push back the frontier of knowledge, the broader the frontier gets. We as individuals only inhabit a small part of what humanity knows. We learn social skills, relationship skills, work skills, and probably a lot of details about our favorite band or anime that make our other friends want to roll their eyes when we won't shut up about it. Everything we don't learn about, well, that's our ignorance. It's not an insult, it's just a state of being. And like most things in life, the situations we find ourselves in are not nearly as important as what we choose to do with them. I want to talk about 3 important stances towards ignorance. These are the sorts of ignorance that we must grapple with in ourselves and decide how to deal with each. First, there's what you know, and you know it. You're even something of an expert on it. This is where you need to develop intellectual humility, which is a sort of balance between arrogance, where you assume you know all anyone needs to know, and self-deprecation, where you're so overcome with imposter syndrome that you're afraid to talk about what you know. One of my favorite sayings is, even the masters have masters. Paths of mastery have no end, and even when you master a topic, there is still endless learning to do. One of the best ways to practice intellectual humility is to teach others, and realize that at one point you too were entirely ignorant of your subject. Second, there's what you don't know, but you know that you don't know it. The old Dire Straits song, Money for Nothing, is written from the perspective of 2 guys watching rock stars on TV and saying to each other, that ain't working. In my experience, the best way to appreciate the blood, sweat, and tears any musician or performer puts into their craft is to try it yourself for a while. Study a few instruments, take an acting class, try writing a short story, or try to code an app, and you'll never look at those activities the same way again. Repeat this enough times, and you gain a deep appreciation for what others do. Most importantly, find at least one skill to master for yourself. I don't mean finish every level of the latest video game. To be a path of mastery, it has to be something that other people value as well. Learn to kayak, or do martial arts, or draw. Whether you do it professionally or not, learn what it feels like to master something. But here's the other side of the coin. Deliberately choose not to master everything else. Don't be a dabbler who drifts from one activity to the next. If you're still a kid, sure, go ahead and try a bunch of stuff. But as you get toward adulthood, pick something and stick with it until you're really good. Aside from the value you create doing that thing, it will help you form your character as a strong and valuable human being. Everything else, let it slide. I call this choosing your ignorance. Third, there's what you don't know, and you don't know that you don't know it. I have a saying I live by. There's more going on in the universe than anyone understands, and less going on in the universe than some would have you believe. Be willing to say, I don't know, when you really don't. This gives you the option to be curious, or at least be alert to new information instead of blinded by your own preconceptions. When people around you tell you what they believe, don't feel like you have to believe it too because you like them or because they won't like you if you don't. It's always okay to ask people why they believe what they believe. Adopt your strongest beliefs reluctantly. Hold your beliefs provisionally and be willing to change them when the reasons to do so are strong enough. And own your ignorance. Have a sense of wonder about what you don't know, about what you can learn from others if you listen to them, and about what no one really knows. History's most famous philosopher, Socrates, said, and I'm paraphrasing generously here, that guy and me, we're both ignorant, but he's an arrogant know-it-all. Now, I don't know much at all, really, and I know that I don't. And because I don't pretend to know what I don't, I think I'm actually wiser than he is. Life has so many distractions from what will actually make a difference in your life. In the comments below, let me know something that you're choosing to stay ignorant of. See you tomorrow.